welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different and creative. I had one of my followers on Instagram ask me, how do you balance family life and art things? And I thought this was such a good question. So I want to do like a chatty video while painting a watercolor portrait of none other than my now 16-month-old, which is so crazy to say out loud. It's really true what they say, the days are slow, but the years go by fast. I mean, we've only been with him for 1 year now, but at least the first year went by like that. Now, before I dive into motherhood and being a working mom, I wanted to share about a watercolor palette that I'm going to be using for this painting. This is from Watercolor Hoarder, and I actually got to curate my own set of colors, which is super cool. I partnered with Hazel, who is the owner of Watercolor Hoarder, and we basically created this palette with all of the colors that I use on a daily basis, plus my MVP colors for creating skin tone. I feel like whenever I try to recommend a palette to someone, it's really hard because there's no skin tone colors that are usually in these curated sets. So I wanted to create this one for you guys. If you're interested in that, I'll leave the link down below, or you can just look at the descriptions and see what colors I used if you just want to pick some of those up. So let's dive into our motherhood chat. So I did want to kind of share my background. Before I became a mom, I was honestly really focused on my career. I didn't really dream about becoming a mom. I know some people do, but for me, I dreamed about being a career woman. And I always thought that I would find my purpose and my calling in whatever job I would have. So in my college and my young adult years, I really spent a lot of time and effort in this area. I just basically spent a lot of my time growing my art business from the ground up. And I actually share more about this journey in my previous video, which I'll leave in the cards. But that was kind of my focus at this time. Ironically, I ended up being the first of my friends to get married. And in those first 3 years, my husband and I really got to know each other and kind of grew into adults together, because adulting is like a whole thing in itself. And you really just learn so much about yourself and, of course, your life as an adult with your new spouse. So during those years, we bought a house, my husband started his own business, and I grew my business. And we basically just focused on building a financial security net and just the foundational things in life. And that's basically what we spent most of our marriage setting up. And then on our third wedding anniversary, we found out we were pregnant, which is wild. I actually have a video on how we found out we were pregnant and our reactions and everything as well that I'll leave in the cards. But basically, these 9 months felt so slow to me. But at the same time, it's also the exact amount of time that I needed, and I think most women need, to process the fact that they're going to have a child. Whether it's their first child or their second child, it's like, oh my goodness, you need those 9 months to prepare. Especially as a first-time mom, like my whole life was about to change. And then, of course, on April 21st, 2020, I met the light of my world, my baby, and I knew that my life would truly never be the same. Because the truth is, you can plan as much as you want, but with a baby, you really can't predict the future. Like, I had my maternity leave all planned out. I hired an assistant to cover my inbox for me. I had projects secured, all the things. And then 2020 hit, right? And then of course the world turned upside down. But honestly, looking back now, it couldn't have come at a better time, because my world was already rocked by having a baby anyway. Might as well throw in a global pandemic, right? No, I'm just kidding. It was incredibly hard, as it was for so many people around the world. But because of my new bundle of joy, I was so thankful. I was just thankful for this time to be able to slow down and be present. And for once, I stopped looking ahead and I forced myself to be present, because that's all I could handle at that moment, and that's all that my baby needed from me. So the first year of his life, I learned so much. I learned that I really, really love being a mom. And I also learned that I really, really love my work. I feel fulfilled when I'm painting, writing, creating. And it was hard at first to kind of manage through that. But at the end, I realized that I wanted to model what it looks like to live in your purpose to my child, to my children. And the thing with purpose is that it can look different in each season of your life. So for example, my current season is to spend time with my baby and to raise him during these early years. And that's what I want to do. But that doesn't mean that I don't get help. I definitely have childcare because I also need to set some time aside to work because that's important to me too. It's like a constant juggling game. And the thing about being a mom is that you're neither here nor there because you're constantly split between being in mom mode and being in work mode. So when I'm at work, I want to be with my son, and then the times that I do hang out with him, I feel guilty about the work that needs to get done. Like, mom guilt is a total real thing, but I'm learning that that's totally normal, and it's actually even okay to feel guilty for a moment. But eventually you do have to move on, because the truth is there's really no such thing as balance, like at least long term, because balance is a fluid thing that's always changing because your child is growing and changing. Their needs begin to change and shift, which means your schedule will be impacted by that. And even through all of this, you as a person will change too, as well as your wants and your needs as well. So not to get too abstract here, but to go back to that question, how do you balance family life and art things? I think my answer would be truly to just take it one day at a time. Like, some days I will have to put my laptop down early and hang out with my son. In the beginning, this was super hard for me. Actually, it's, let's be real, still hard for me. But I realized like this is really important too, to spend quality time with my son. But at the same time, there are other days where I have projects and deadlines to meet, so I will have to spend a little bit less time with my family and have my husband watch him or get childcare and help. And the thing is, like, neither one is bad or good. It's just both. You need both, and that's the fact of life. The beautiful thing is that you can absolutely do both, and I believe that you can, as long as you kind of come into motherhood and the workforce with open hands. If you want to be a working mom and to raise your child, you will have to learn how to be flexible and also intentional with your time. And of course, surround yourself with a village, because you definitely need that in order to raise a child. Practically speaking, I do think that you want to try to create a routine. For me, sleep training has helped a ton. I know that's not for everyone, but for me personally, I believe that spending the first few months of his life sleep training him has given him a routine to get comfortable in, and then given me freedom and at least some sort of a guideline of what to expect. So I have pockets of time that I know I could spend time working or creating or whatever. And then of course, during the times that he is awake, I wanted to spend that time with him. And that comes with sacrifices. Like, both come with sacrifices. Whether you start a business or have a baby, you will have to sacrifice something. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having a baby, is that now you have this life that you are raising, this person that you are raising, and it helps you have more clarity than ever before. I think it helps you to realize what's actually important to you. So when I had a baby, I feel like my business has changed a ton. I could not have planned that during my pregnancy, even though as much as I wanted to and tried to. I think whenever it came to earth, into existence, I really had a better understanding of what that would look like. So if you're watching this video, just know that all things will come in due time, including knowing what's next, what's the next move, knowing what balance look like for you, knowing what type of work you want to do and what offer you want to have. That will come in due time, and you'll have a better understanding as you're walking in the journey. But I do want to leave you with this. It's absolutely possible, and it's beautiful and magical when you do motherhood and you get to do the thing that light you up, you know, in your career, in your business, in your offerings. So I just want to leave that with you, my friend. If this is where you're at, then I wish you the best of luck, and I encourage you to go after the things that are in your heart, that you could be a good mom and a steward of your gifts in your workforce as well.
That's a picture of you. Who is that?
Evie, who is that?
Abby. Who is that?
Baby.